Have you ever felt like life was slowly crushing you, and you didn't even have the strength to scream? That quiet sadness that settles in without asking, that exhaustion that doesn't go away no matter how much you sleep. I know it, and I know you do too. But listen, right there in the middle of that emptiness, that's where the Stoics found their real power. They didn't wait to feel good to take action. They acted in order to feel alive again. In this video, I'm going to share 12 Stoic lessons that will bring back your energy, your clarity, and your emotional stability, even in your darkest moments. These aren't pretty quotes or empty theories. They're raw truths, born in hard times, made to help you hold on when everything inside you is telling you to give up. Because yes, you can be sad, you can feel weak, but that doesn't mean you're broken. And if today you feel tired and low, then this video is for you. Today, you'll realize your strength never left. You just needed to call it back. Before we begin, tell me something. How long have you been feeling tired on the inside, like you're carrying an invisible weight no one else can see? If that question hits home, subscribe and join as an exclusive member so we can keep walking this path together. And let me know in the comments, what's been draining you the most lately? Or just write, Stoic at heart. Today, I reclaim my joy. Are you ready to rise again? Let's go. 1. Stop fighting what's not in your control. Think about this. How many times have you felt like life was slipping through your fingers because of things that weren't even up to you? You're late to work because of a massive traffic jam. The weather ruins plans you've been looking forward to for weeks. Or you order your favorite meal and it shows up cold, poorly made, completely the opposite of what you wanted. And there you are, about to burst a vein over it. It seems like a small thing, right? But what's really draining your energy isn't the weather or the traffic, no, it's your reaction. That useless fight against what you can't change is like punching a hole in your own energy tank and watching your strength drip out bit by bit. Picture this. You rush into a cafe because your schedule's packed and you're counting on that coffee to get going. The barista's distracted running around, and when he finally serves you, it's not what you ordered. You asked for a black coffee and he gives you one with milk and it's lukewarm. In that instant you feel it. Irritation rising up like it just ruined your whole day. Suddenly you start a pointless war. You complain, he gives you a dirty look, changes it reluctantly, takes too long, and now you leave annoyed. Worst part? The coffee doesn't even taste good anymore. But what's really dangerous is that the anger stays with you. You take it to work and use it as an excuse to say, today's just not my day. Now, do a quick mental experiment. Put Marcus Aurelius in that same situation. Imagine him sitting there, waiting for his coffee, and realizing it's not what he ordered. Do you see him standing up and yelling because they gave him the wrong drink? Of course not. If he'd written about it, it would have been something like, the coffee does not harm me. What harms me is my opinion of it. So was the problem the coffee? No, of course not. The real problem was how you chose to react. And that difference is what separates a ruined day from a peaceful one. You don't notice it, but you're tired and sad because you keep fighting what you can't change. When you stop that fight, your energy returns. Epictetus said it plainly. Some things are up to us, and others are not. And when you read that, it seems so obvious you almost wonder why you don't live that way all the time. But in reality, we act as if everything is in our control. And that mistake costs us. If someone makes a small error, we take it personally. If the train is late, we feel like we've been wronged. If it rains on our long-awaited beach day, suddenly it feels like the universe is against us. But no, the universe isn't conspiring against you. It's just doing what it does. The only thing you truly have is your response. The thing is, letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means choosing where to put your strength. You can train this with something simple. Every morning, draw 2 columns. In one, write what depends on you. In the other, what doesn't. And make a silent promise your energy will only go to the first. If today you can wake up a little earlier, bring a better attitude, speak with respect, that deserves your energy. But if your boss shows up in a bad mood or it rains during your run, that goes in the second column. And here's another practical tip. When that nagging thought comes up about something outside your control, repeat to yourself, "This doesn't depend on me and I'm letting it go now." It may seem like a simple phrase, but it's like shutting the door on a thief trying to break in and drain you from the inside. Give it a try. Use it the next time life tests you with something small. My friend, every time you fight what you can't change, you wear yourself down a little more. And when you're already feeling tired and low, that kind of drain is the last thing you need. Remembering this Stoic lesson is like plugging yourself back in. What truly restores your strength isn't controlling the world. It's learning not to let what's beyond your reach dim your light. If you choose wisely where to place your energy, even on your grayest days, you'll still feel that there's power inside you to stand back up. 2. Your emotions don't rule you. They just pass through. There are days when it feels like the whole world is against you. You leave work feeling like you messed everything up. Someone corrected you in front of others, a report went out with errors, or you just weren't inspired. And as you walk home, a phrase starts echoing in your mind like an annoying loop. "I'm a mess." You repeat it over and over, as if it were the ultimate truth. But look closely. It's not reality. It's an emotion disguised as identity. You're not a failure. You just had a rough moment. Yet when sadness settles in, it can feel like it's never going to leave. And that's exactly when you most need to remember. Emotions aren't permanent. They come and go like uninvited guests. Marcus Aurelius put it clearly. If you are distressed by anything external, it is not the thing itself that troubles you, but your judgment about it. What brings us down isn't the mistake, or the harsh word, or even the moment we failed. What truly traps us is the weight we place on the emotion. We treat it like a label, like a definition of who we are. And of course, if you believe your sadness is you, then every gray day feels endless. But if you see it for what it really is, a passing guest, everything changes. Think of emotions like a sudden storm. First a few drops fall, then a downpour that seems like it'll never end. You're soaked, uncomfortable, and convinced the sky will never clear. But it always does. No storm has lasted forever. Emotions are the same. They drench you, throw you off, stir you up. But then they leave. They're not your identity, they're just the weather of the moment. Let me give you a simple example. Imagine you get home after one of those hard days. You open the door and the first thing you see is a pile of dishes, a messy couch, laundry to fold. Your body is drained, your mind shut down, and that emotion whispers, you can't even handle your life. Instead of moving, you drop onto the couch and just stare at the ceiling. It's not that you don't want to do anything. It's that sadness has convinced you that you can't. And it's in those exact moments when you're feeling low and tired that Stoicism becomes the reminder that brings your inner strength back. Because you are not what you feel in that moment. You are so much bigger than the emotion passing through you. Psychologist Ethan Kross explains this in his book Chatter. He shows how inner dialogue can amplify emotional pain, turning a single event into a whole narrative of personal failure. And he suggests something simple. Talk to yourself in the third person. Don't say, "I'm falling apart." Say, "Luis is going through a hard time, but he'll get through it." That small shift creates distance. What once looked like an impossible wall now feels like just a bump in the road. Notice, I'm not telling you not to feel. There's no need to be afraid of emotions. Just imagine they're tenants in a building. Joy is that friendly neighbor who invites you to eat. Calm is the one who keeps to himself and always has a tidy home. And anger is that annoying neighbor who shows up unannounced, makes noise, causes trouble and doesn't pay rent. What do? You don't adopt him as family. You don't give him the keys to your house. You just wait for him to leave. Because you know he won't stay forever. So, how do you apply this when you feel emotionally drained? First, name what you're feeling. Say, "I feel sadness" instead of "I am sad." It seems like a small detail, but that's the difference between recognizing a visitor and turning it into your identity. Another tool? Movement. Go for a short walk, even just 10 minutes, move your body, get some fresh air. The body helps process what the mind keeps spinning. And if you still feel stuck inside, write it out. It doesn't need to be a fancy journal, just a quick note on your phone. When you turn it into words, it stops taking up your whole mind. The Stoic lesson here is simple. You are not your emotion. You are the one watching it. That means even when you feel low and tired, even when the day feels heavy, you can remind yourself that the storm is not the sky. You are the sky, and the storm, no matter how strong, will pass. So, my friend, the next time a negative emotion tries to convince you that you are less than you are, breathe and say to yourself, "This too shall pass." That little bit of distance can bring your strength back, right when you need it most. And on your darkest days, that strength is what makes the difference between giving up and rising again. Now tell me in the comments, which emotion seems to overstay its welcome in your mind? Write it down. And if you don't want to go into detail, leave me this phrase that will be our shared reminder. Stoic at heart, I wait for the calm. 3. The present is all you really have. My friend, think about this for a second. How many times have you been trapped in memories you can't change or in worries about a future that hasn't even happened yet? When you're drained of energy, when sadness weighs on your chest like a stone, it's normal for your mind to start wandering. It goes back to the past with, "If only I had," or rushes into the future with, "What if?" And in that back and forth, you end up even more exhausted, because the only thing you truly have in front of you is this moment. Living outside the present is like trying to drive while staring only into the rearview mirror, or focusing solely on the horizon. You think you're in control, but eventually you crash. The only safe place, the only one that holds you, is the road beneath your feet, the now. And here lies the key we so often forget. When sadness dulls us, the mind tries to convince us that everything is lost, either because the past hurt too much, or because the future will be too hard. But Stoicism gives us our strength back right there, reminding us that the only place we can actually live is this second. Let me tell you the story of Patricia, a friend who got stuck in that loop. Her husband passed away young, and she kept repeating to herself, "If only I had done this, if I just stopped that," as if going over it could rewrite what happened. At the same time, she lived in fear of the future. What will become of me? Will I end up alone? That double burden drained her completely. She spent her days so weighed down by sadness, she could barely get out of bed. Everything around her felt empty, because the past wouldn't let go, and the future gave her no peace. But one day, on a simple walk, something unexpected happened. Patricia stopped when she saw a little boy chasing a dog. The boy laughed, the dog barked with joy, and for a few seconds, everything else disappeared. She realized life hadn't died with her husband, and it wasn't suspended in some distant future. Life was right there, in that moment she had been ignoring for years. From that point on, she started grounding herself in simple things, enjoying her hot coffee, planting tomatoes in her garden, calling a friend. Her pain didn't vanish overnight, but slowly, life started flowing again. And that spark came the moment she stopped traveling with her mind and decided to stay in the present. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts." That's exactly what happened to Patricia. Her suffering didn't come only from the loss itself. It came from the thoughts she repeated over and over, chaining her to the past and filling her with fear about the future. When she started paying attention to what she allowed into her mind, when she began noticing the real moments right in front of her, her life slowly regained strength. Marcus Aurelius did the same in his daily life. He didn't let himself get dragged down by past battles or fears of what might come. He focused on ruling his thoughts in the present moment, because that's where his power lived. Now tell me, what thoughts show up more often for you? The ones that pull you back, or the ones that push you into a future that doesn't exist yet? Think about it. How many times have you sat down to eat and barely noticed the taste because you were looking at your phone? Or how often has someone been speaking to you, and instead of listening, your mind was busy preparing your reply? The present slips through our fingers so easily, Yet it's the only place that can bring you calm when you're feeling low and tired. This isn't just theory, science backs it up. Jon Kabat-Zinn, a mindfulness expert, showed how practicing present awareness reduces anxiety and depression. His method isn't complicated or mystical. It's simply coming back again and again to your breath, to your body, to the now. Exactly what the Stoics taught, just in different words. So how can you apply this in your life? Next time you check the time, don't do it automatically. Use that moment as a reminder. Say silently to yourself, "I'm here in this moment." And don't let it be empty words. Pay attention to what's really happening. Maybe you're sitting on a hard chair, the air is cool, and it smells like fresh coffee. Or maybe you're at the salon, water running through your hair, shampoo filling the air with a soft scent. Describing the experience in your own words anchors you, keeps your mind from running off to the past or the future, and brings it back to you right now. And before starting something that truly matters, pause. Don't open your laptop or grab your phone right away. Just be still for a minute, eyes closed if you like, and pay attention to your breath. Don't change it or force it. Just feel the air going in and out. That simple awareness holds incredible power. It calms your mind, clears your thoughts, and puts you back in the only place where life happens, the present. The present isn't just a nice idea. It's your best medicine against sadness and burnout. When your energy is gone, when sadness tells you nothing makes sense, remember, you don't have to carry yesterday or battle tomorrow. You only have to hold this moment, this second, because it's the only thing that's real. And from here, little by little, life starts to come back together. 4. That voice in your head can tear you down or lift you up. There are days when you don't need enemies on the outside, because you're already carrying one inside. That enemy is your own voice, the one that forgives nothing, that replays your mistakes like catchy songs you can't turn off. Tell me, my friend, has this happened to you? You show up late to a meeting, you say something that didn't come out right, or you simply forget a detail. Instead of thinking, okay, just another slip, no big deal, that voice kicks in and tears you apart. I'm a disaster. I can't do anything right. And the worst part isn't the phrase itself, it's that it lingers. It follows you to dinner with friends, and even though you're sitting there, you're not really present. You can't enjoy yourself. It steals your spark, even when you're playing with your kids, because all you hear is that echo convincing you that you're worthless. And if you really think about it, it's absurd. Because if a friend came and talked to you the way you talk to yourself on those dark days, what would you do? Spoiler, you wouldn't invite them back. So why do you keep tolerating those words just because they come from your own mind? Your inner dialogue is like a DJ that never stops playing music. Always there, setting the tone in your head. And if your playlist is full of depressing tracks, of course your mood crashes. You walk around feeling drained, unmotivated. But if you choose songs that inspire, that remind you of what you can do, your day changes. And here's the key. Are you going to let your default negativity choose the playlist, or are you going to choose it consciously? Seneca said something that fits perfectly here. Life is like a legend. It doesn't matter if it's long, but that it's well told. Think about that for a second. Your life isn't just what happens outside, it's what you tell yourself inside. If the story you're narrating in your mind is an endless tragedy, you'll start believing that's your truth. But if you learn to speak to yourself with respect, with patience, and with honesty, even the saddest days begin to carry meaning. That's what Marcus Aurelius did in his daily life. Picture him, the emperor, with enormous responsibilities, border wars, political chaos every morning. He could have given in to that same inner voice saying, "Everything's falling apart. I can't handle this." But instead, he wrote down his thoughts like reminders. He turned phrases that could have sunk him into words that brought him back to the present and to action. That habit of speaking to himself with clarity and firmness was what helped him stand tall in the middle of chaos. And you can do the same. How? Try something very simple. The next time a toxic thought shows up, don't take it as truth. Swap it for a more fair version. Instead of "I always mess up," say, Sometimes I mess up, but I'm learning. That tiny adjustment doesn't bring you down. It gives you strength. For example, let's say you wake up feeling exhausted. The moment you open your eyes, that familiar heaviness is already there, whispering, "This is going to be another gray day. Nothing's going to change." Before you let yourself slide down that slope, have 3 phrases ready. Your emergency kit. They could be something like, "Today I'll find a moment of calm." "My worth doesn't depend on how I wake up." Or, "There's always a chance to begin again." Read them right after you get out of bed, even if it's in a low voice while you're making your coffee. It's like choosing the soundtrack for your day instead of letting the saddest one play on autopilot. Because in the end, my friend, that voice in your head can either drain you or be the one that lifts you back up. When you're sad, when the weight of the day is just too much, Stoicism doesn't ask you to ignore your pain. It asks you to notice it, to choose the story you tell yourself, and to use your reason as a guiding light. That decision can bring your inner strength back, even on the grayest days. Now tell me in the comments, if your inner voice were a DJ, what song would it play right now? Write it down. And if nothing comes to mind, just leave this phrase: "Today, I'll be the DJ of my own party." 5. Start by being grateful for what you already have. When was the last time you truly said thank you? I'm not talking about that automatic thanks you throw at the waiter when they drop your coffee off, or the quick nod you give the driver who lets you cross the street. I mean real gratitude, the kind that stops you for a second and reminds you that something in your life is worth valuing. The strange thing is, most of the time we go through the whole day without thinking once about what we already have. And of course, when something hits us, all we can see is what we're missing. Imagine this. You walk into your usual cafe, the one where the coffee smells so strong it feels like a warm hug. Suddenly, between the clinking of plates and the buzz of conversation, you hear a familiar laugh. You look over and there they are, your group of friends, all together, sharing jokes, waving their hands with that familiar energy you know so well. But something feels off. No one told you. You walk over trying to force a smile, your heart pounding a little too hard. You ask why nobody said anything, and after an awkward silence, someone laughs and says, "Well, you're always in your own world. We figured you wouldn't care." And just like that, the coffee doesn't smell like anything anymore. The voices fade, the noise becomes distant. All that remains is that sentence, like a nail in your chest. You notice the looks, one drops to their cup, another gets lost in their phone. You don't need more answers. You feel like you don't belong. You walk out, and the cold air slaps your face, but what really hurts is inside. You get home, collapse on the couch, don't even turn on the lights. A thick sadness takes over, so heavy you don't even have the energy to make dinner or send a message. And right there, when the energy is gone, when sadness drags you under, that's when Stoicism becomes a lifeline. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." A man with all the power in the world, Emperor of Rome, reminding himself daily of the simplest things. Because even he knew, without gratitude, the heart hardens and life becomes a burden. The key is to focus on what's already holding your life up, even if it seems small. That shift in focus can bring back strength on your darkest days. It's like that simple story of a farmer who was always heard saying, "Thank you. It could have been worse." One day he lost the mule he used to work his land, and everyone in the village thought it was a disaster. The neighbor, true to form, said the usual. The farmer was angry, but days later the mule came back, with 2 wild ones following behind. Suddenly, it didn't seem like such bad luck. Later, the farmer's son tried to tame one of the wild mules and broke his leg. Again, the neighbor repeated, "Thank you. It could have been worse." The father, fed up, couldn't see what good could come from that. But a few weeks later, war broke out and all the young men in the village were sent to the front, except his son, who stayed behind because of his injury. That broken leg? It saved his life, you see? What seems like a cruel blow can sometimes hide something you can't yet see. If you've ever thought that being grateful doesn't change anything, let me share something Robert Emmons discovered. He's one of the most respected psychologists studying gratitude. He ran an experiment where people wrote down 3 things they were grateful for over 10 weeks. The result? Their happiness levels went up. Depression symptoms went down. It's not magic, it's mental training. So next time you open your eyes in the morning, take a minute and write down 3 simple things. A roof over your head, a message from someone who cares, even the taste of that first sip of coffee. My friend, I want to give you a challenge, don't worry. It's not hard and it's not impossible to dodge. Today, before the day ends, tell someone, "Thanks for being there." Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't overthink it. It could be your partner, a friend, even the guy at the gym who always keeps the machine free for you. Say it and watch their face. Maybe they'll look at you funny and say, "What's up? Getting all philosophical now." But trust me, it'll touch something in them. And the best part, without even realizing it, it'll shift something in you too. Gratitude is like turning on a flashlight in the dark. The problems don't vanish, they're still there. But suddenly you can see the paths and the possibilities. And on a day when sadness has left you without energy, that light might be the very thing that brings back your will to keep going. 6. Adversity is your best gym. Imagine being 9 years old and watching your world collapse. Screams, gunfire, people running without looking back. That was the reality for Kimmy Weeks, a boy from Liberia who grew up in the middle of a brutal civil war. One day, illness left him so weak that he was presumed dead. Yes, at just 9 years old, he was thrown onto a pile of bodies, as if there was nothing left of him. And here comes the turning point. His mother, with a kind of faith that defied reason, refused to accept it. She threw herself on top of him, beat his chest, screamed his name, and against all logic, Kimmy started breathing again. Just imagine that moment. A boy who had touched death and suddenly returned, heart pounding once more. That instant changed everything. But it wasn't a happy ending. It was a different beginning. Kimmy made a vow. He would dedicate his life to helping children who suffered like he had. By 14, he was already leading campaigns to protect them. By 15, he convinced adults and international organizations to help disarm child soldiers. And when, at 17, the government came after him for speaking uncomfortable truths, he escaped in disguise, crossing borders in secret. What would you have done? Think about it. Most people in his place would have just begged for peace. Kimmy chose something else. He turned pain into fuel, adversity into training. His life proved what seemed like a curse became his strength. And that's exactly what Marcus Aurelius understood when he wrote, "What stands in the way becomes the way." A powerful phrase, but it comes to life when you hear stories like Kimmy's. Struggles aren't walls meant to block you. They're the material you use to build the bridge forward. What looks like a trap now might be the very thing that gives you the strength you'll need later. Pain works like invisible weights. If you never lift anything, your muscles waste away. But if you face some resistance each day, yes, it hurts, but your body grows stronger. The same goes for character. If you always avoid discomfort, your mind never trains. And when life drops unexpected weight on you, you won't be ready to carry it. Now, my friend, picture this. You finally decide to launch a personal project, something you've dreamed about for years. You go for it with excitement, you work hard, but things don't go as planned. Nobody replies to your emails, your proposal gets rejected, and when you finally land a meeting, you hear the dreaded "we'll think about it," which really means no. Your stomach knots up, doubts start swarming. What's the point? Maybe I'm just not good enough. And that, right there, is when life's invisible gym shows up. In that moment, try something different. Instead of asking, "Why me?" ask, "What is this trying to teach me?" That single question changes your position. You're no longer a victim of bad luck. You're a student facing a challenge. Maybe the lesson is patience, maybe it's resilience, Maybe it's just learning not to give up so quickly. Another thing you can do is treat difficulties like mini training sessions. If someone criticizes your idea today and it stings, treat it like a lightweight preparing you for bigger hits later on. Just like a muscle that goes through reps before it lifts the heavy bar, your character gets shaped in these small, everyday frictions. Here's something practical. Keep a journal of challenges overcome. Every week, write down one difficulty you got through. It can be something big, like facing rejection, or something small, like getting out of bed when you didn't want to. When you're feeling like you can't go on, open that journal. Remind yourself of what you've already survived. I promise, it'll give you the strength to keep going. In the end, adversity isn't your enemy. It's the coach you never asked for, but who always shows up right on time. The real question is, are you going to keep running from it, or are you going to step into the gym and train? Think about it, because what stands in your way today might just be the very path that takes you further than you ever imagined. 7. When you take care of your body, your mind thanks you. Tell me something. Have you ever tried to focus on something important after only 4 hours of sleep? It's a disaster. Your body feels like a mule being asked to run a marathon. And your mind? Well, your mind gets stuck in the mud of exhaustion. Or even worse, think about that day you decided to eat an entire pizza with sodas and then tried to get real work done. Your body says, "That's it for me," and your mind just shuts down. The strange thing is, we keep acting like the body and mind are two separate things, when in reality, they're travel partners. When one is neglected, the other falls apart. Picture it like this. Your body is the charger for your phone. If you twist it, plug it in wrong, or leave it lying around, one day it just stops working. And what good is the best phone in the world, your mind, if the battery doesn't charge? Exactly, it's useless. It's the same with you. You could have brilliant ideas, rock-solid discipline, you could read philosophy all day long. But if you don't sleep, eat terribly, and never move, you'll pay the price. Here's something that's always fascinated me. Charles Darwin, the guy who revolutionized biology, was obsessed with his daily walks. He had a circular path in his garden he called the thinking path. It wasn't just a walk. It was a ritual to organize his thoughts. That simple movement gave him clarity that shaped ideas which changed the course of history. And it's not a coincidence. If you look at people who've made an impact in any field, they all understood something important. Taking care of the body was essential for the mind to work well. Darwin did it in his garden. Today we see successful people who don't compromise on their health habits. Barack Obama, for example, kept a strict workout routine, even during the most intense days of his presidency. Not out of vanity. He did it because he knew that physical health supports mental clarity. And if people that brilliant needed to move their bodies to keep their minds sharp, what makes us think we can perform well while ignoring ours? And no, this isn't a modern wellness guru thing. Seneca, 2,000 years ago, warned in his book on the shortness of life. Life is not short, but we make it short by wasting it. And how do we waste a huge part of that life? By burning out our bodies with habits that drain our energy. We wear ourselves down for no reason, and then wonder why our heads are foggy and our spirits low. Now think, do you know the 3 pillars that affect your mood the most? No, it's not binge watching your favorite show until 1 a.m. And no, it's not spending the day on the couch. The first is direct sunlight in the morning. Sounds basic, right? But it's like hitting the start button for your day. It tells your body it's time to be awake. The second is some kind of movement, even just a short walk. That burst of activity resets your brain like a quick system refresh. The third, sleeping on a regular schedule. There's no hack here. Sleep is the workshop where your mind rebuilds itself every night. Without these 3, you could meditate all day or repeat positive quotes, but your energy will still be running on empty. So here's a simple challenge. Tonight, try turning off your screens 1 hour before bed. No phone, no series, no emails. Just dim the lights, maybe read a few pages or talk to someone. That tiny habit might give you hours of deeper sleep. And tomorrow morning, when the alarm goes off, you'll feel the difference. During the day, when tiredness tempts you toward the couch, go for a 20-minute walk instead. Don't call it exercise if that word feels heavy. Just think of it as hitting reset. You'll come back with different energy, like you opened a window in a stuffy room. Want to take it further? Look at your plate. If your diet is built on processed food and sugar, your body lives on an emotional roller coaster. The more naturally you eat, the more stable your mood becomes. Your body calms down, and your mind will thank you for it. Sure, you can meditate, read Marcus Aurelius, and say motivational quotes all day long, but if you're glued to your screen at night, feeding your body junk and barely moving more than your living room furniture, eventually your mind will crash. And on those gray days when you feel like you've got no energy left, when sadness seems to have stolen even your spark, the best Stoic reminder is this: taking care of your body is also taking care of your soul. 8. Without purpose, there's no direction. Imagine waking up one morning and feeling like nothing's waiting for you. No excitement, no direction, just the same old routine: work, eat, sleep, repeat. How many people live like that on autopilot, as if they were passengers on a train with no idea where it's going? The strange thing is, it's not always about lacking material things. Sometimes what's missing is something more invisible, a why. And without that, even the brightest life begins to dim. I want you to hear what happened to Javier, because maybe in his story you'll see a reflection of what happens to you when you lose your drive. He had a good salary, a nice apartment, even that dream car he always wanted. From the outside, anyone would say his life looked ideal. But every morning, when the alarm went off, he felt a strange weight on his chest. It wasn't physical exhaustion, it was something else. Sadness, an emptiness that crept into his days and left him drained. He ate without appetite, smiled on autopilot, and collapsed on the couch each night with the feeling that nothing he did had meaning. One day, his mother fell ill, and Javier spent several weeks visiting her in the hospital. That's where he saw something that shook him: a woman who spent hours reading stories to the children there. She wasn't getting paid, had no fancy lifestyle, yet she radiated a vitality that didn't make sense. While Javier dragged his feet through the hallways, that volunteer seemed to float. That image stayed with him. One question kept repeating in his mind: and me? What moves me? It wasn't about quitting everything, just about giving his life direction, connecting his effort to something that mattered. That moment sparked a change. Today, Javier wouldn't tell you life is easy. But when sadness starts creeping back, he remembers why he began. That purpose becomes the rope that pulls him up when his energy runs low. You see it, right? You've probably lived something similar. Those days when getting out of bed feels like a punishment. But when you have something to look forward to, a trip, a project, someone counting on you, your body responds, even if you've slept terribly. The difference is the why. Purpose is like an invisible engine. Maybe you don't see it, but it's what pushes the boat forward. Without it, all that's left is rowing in circles, exhausted, going nowhere. It's like rowing out at sea with no compass. You might have the strongest arms in the world, but if you don't know where you're going, that strength turns into wear and tear. With a clear purpose, even the fiercest storm becomes part of the journey to a defined shore. That's the big difference. It's not about life being easy. It's about each obstacle having meaning on the path. Marcus Aurelius put it another way in his Meditations: he who lives in harmony with nature lives in harmony with the universe. He didn't mean it in some mystical way. It's simple. When your actions align with a meaningful purpose, life flows. Sadness weighs less because there's something pulling you forward even on the darkest days. And look, it's not just ancient wisdom. Simon Sinek repeats it in his book, Start with Why. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. It sounds like business advice, but it applies just as much to personal life. That why is what lights the fire, the kind of motivation that doesn't depend on outside applause but comes from something deeper, something that connects you to yourself. Now, I want to offer you something practical, Something you can do today. Put on some calm music, maybe light a candle if that helps you focus, and write down one activity that makes you forget time when you're doing it. That clue is often key to discovering your purpose. It doesn't have to be grand or world-changing. It just has to change your world. Then look at your daily routine and ask, how can I connect what I'm doing today with that why? If your purpose is to help, even a small conversation with a coworker can become part of that. If your purpose is to create, even cooking a new recipe at home can be a way to express it. Don't wait for big occasions. Give meaning to the small moments. And one last tip, revisit your goals from time to time. Purpose isn't a lifelong contract. It evolves with you. Changing it isn't failing. It's growing. Sometimes what used to drive you no longer resonates, and that's okay. It's healthy to ask again, what lights me up today? My friend, when you lose your purpose, sadness and fatigue take over. But when you find it, it becomes the fuel that gets you out of bed, even on your darkest days. That's the inner strength the Stoics reminded us of every day. You can't control whether life gets steep, but you can choose what you're climbing for. So here's your challenge. Write in the comments whether you've already found your purpose, or if you're still searching for it. And if you found it, share what it is, because your answer might just be the spark someone else needs to find theirs. 9. Protect your attention like a treasure. How many times have you picked up your phone just to check something quickly, and when you finally look up, half an hour has passed? Maybe you were watching recipes you'll never cook, cat videos that don't even make you laugh anymore, or absurd arguments in the comments section of someone you don't even know. And the worst part isn't just the time lost, it's how you feel afterward, empty, distracted, with your mind more exhausted than it was before. That's the hidden cost of giving your attention away. And when you're already feeling low and tired, it becomes fuel for your sadness. So let me ask you, what's the most valuable thing you own? If you're not sure, I'll tell you. And no, it's not money, not even time, it's your attention. That should belong to you, and only you. What you consume, who you listen to, where you place your focus, these things shape your mood and your character. If you fill your mind with noise, your thoughts will turn to noise. But if you choose with care, your mind grows stronger and finds peace, even in chaos. Think of your attention like a laser. When focused, it can cut through metal. But if it's scattered like a light bulb, it barely lights up a dark room. The difference isn't in the power, it's in the focus. Do you see what that means? It's not that you're weak or that you lack energy. It's that your attention is being split into 1,000 useless fragments. This isn't just a modern issue brought on by screens and smartphones. Seneca saw it clearly in his time. In his letters to Lucilius, he warned, "Life is wasted more by delay than by doing wrong." In today's world, that delay is called endless scrolling. We no longer postpone life with wine and banquets like in ancient Rome. We do it with likes, memes, and endless notifications that keep us busy, but leave us empty. Science backs this up too. A study from the University of California, Irvin found that when you interrupt your focus with a notification, it takes more than 20 minutes to get back to the same level of concentration. You're not losing just a few seconds on WhatsApp. You're losing whole blocks of mental clarity. And what do you usually do during those 20 minutes? Open another app, watch another video, and the cycle never ends. Without realizing it, you've given away the most valuable hours of your day. So here's a challenge. For 1 hour a day, turn off all notifications. Just 1 hour where you decide where your mind goes. Read a book, write in a notebook, work in silence, or just stare out the window without rushing. At first, it'll be hard. Your brain is hooked on the constant ping of distractions. But once you push through that resistance, you'll feel a quiet you haven't felt in a long time. It's like someone turned off the background noise in your head. If you want to go further, try a digital fast. Half a day with no social media, no scrolling, no sinking into empty conversations. Use that time to walk, to cook something with care, or to sit with someone and have a real conversation. You'll find that real life is so much richer than the compressed version you see on screens. And the most surprising thing? When you come back, you'll realize that nothing you missed was truly important. And let's not forget the people around you. Have you ever spent the afternoon with someone who does nothing but complain? You leave feeling drained, like they sucked the energy out of you. Now think about when you're with someone who inspires you or laughs with you about the absurd things in life. The difference is huge, because attention isn't just stolen by apps, it's also worn down by words and attitudes. Protecting your attention also means being mindful of who you share it with. The thing is, the sadder or more tired you feel, the easier it is to fall into these traps. You look for a quick distraction, something to numb the emptiness even for a minute. But that kind of anesthesia doesn't heal anything. It just pulls you further down. And that's where the Stoic reminder comes in. When you choose where to place your focus, you're also choosing how you feel. Stoicism isn't just philosophy. It's a daily discipline, a practical way to create a safe haven in your own mind when the day feels dark. Think of it like this. Every time you resist opening that app, you're training your inner strength. Every time you choose to read, to walk, or just listen to your breath instead of diving into noise, you're refining your character. And what feels like a small gesture today might become the habit that holds your peace tomorrow. On a day when you're tired and sad, the worst thing you can do is give your attention to things that drain you even more. Your focus is a treasure, and if you leave it in anyone's hands, don't be surprised when you end up feeling empty. Protect it, guard it, train it, because what you let into your mind ends up shaping the life you live. So tell me, what are you going to give your attention to today? My friend, if today you feel your energy fading and your thoughts dragging you down, now is the time to take one more step. Watch the video on screen, where I show you how to kill anxiety before it kills you. Trust me, it will give you the tools you need to reclaim your life and finally breathe in peace. 10. Don't react. Respond with calm. Think about this. You're driving peacefully when suddenly a car cuts you off out of nowhere. Your heart races, your hand flies to the horn, and your first thought is to yell. That impulse is automatic, almost instinctual. But then, as you keep driving, you realize the anger didn't solve anything. It didn't change what happened, it didn't teach the other driver a lesson, and it certainly didn't bring your calm back. In fact, it did the opposite. It ruined your mood for the rest of the day. That's the difference between reacting and responding. And it's the same outside the car. At work, someone makes a comment you didn't expect. At home, an argument sparks over something trivial. Even in the street, a stranger is rude for no reason. Your first instinct is to snap. But tell me, how many times have you regretted reacting impulsively? It's like handing over your energy to the first person who pushed your buttons. And when you're already tired or sad, reacting only makes that weight heavier. Here's the thing. When you react without thinking, it's like sending a message in the heat of the moment, and 5 seconds later, wishing you hadn't hit send. There's no taking it back. The same goes for your words, your tone, your gestures. They shoot out with no filter. But responding with calm is like rereading that message before sending it. You adjust, you think, you choose. And here's the real twist. Strength doesn't come from being the first to explode. It comes from choosing when and how to act. There are stories that show this with brutal clarity. Think of Nelson Mandela. He spent 27 years in prison, 27. When he got out, he could have carried bitterness. He could have reacted with hate toward those who locked him up. But he chose something else, to respond with calm and reconciliation. He said, "As I walked out the door toward the gate that would lead to my freedom, I knew that if I didn't leave my bitterness and hatred behind, I'd still be in prison." That choice wasn't easy, but it made him a symbol of peace and strength. Most importantly, it gave him back control over himself. Marcus Aurelius practiced the same in his daily life. In Meditations, he wrote, "If you are angry with people for their faults, you should remember that men are such by nature." What does that mean? That not everything others do is worth the price of your peace. It doesn't mean you have to excuse their mistakes. It means remembering that your power lies in how you choose to respond. When you realize other people's nature isn't yours to control, you reclaim your center. And you can apply this too. The next time you feel anger rising, stop and count to 5 before saying a word. It might sound silly, but that pause changes everything. Or use an anchor word, something to remind you that you're in charge. It could be steady, hold, or whatever speaks to you. Repeat it silently when the wave of emotion tries to pull you under. Another trick? Step away before replying to a message or continuing an argument. Physical distance cools the mind, and often saves you from saying something you'll regret. This isn't about suppressing what you feel. It's about giving it a different path. Picture a river that overflows its banks. It destroys everything in its way because it has no control. But the same river, when guided, becomes a source of energy and life. That's your calm. When you respond instead of reacting, your inner strength doesn't get wasted in useless explosions. It gets channeled to hold you up, even on the darkest days. Life will always test you. People will break promises, situations will feel unfair, words will hit where it hurts. But those tests are where your power lives. Stoicism reminds us, when you choose calm, you're not just protecting your energy, you're giving yourself back the dignity of being in control. And believe me, when everything feels dark, that's the difference between staying stuck or rising with strength. So my friend, say it down below. My strength is in my calm. Don't let it be just words in the air. Make it a promise to yourself that even on your grayest days, you're still in charge. 11. Learn from those who endured before you. Have you ever wondered how someone who had everything against them managed to keep going and leave a mark on the world? Because let's be honest, sometimes we think our problems are the worst, that no one else could possibly understand what we're carrying. And yet, when we look back, we find stories of people who faced even fiercer storms. And still, they didn't give up. Those stories aren't meant to make us feel small. They're there to remind us of something powerful. If they could do it, so can we. Think of Epictetus, a man born into slavery with no control over his own body. Most people would have said he was doomed to a life of suffering and silence. But he understood something few ever grasp. True freedom doesn't come from what you're allowed to do. It comes from what you choose to think. That's why he wrote, "It's not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them." And really, how incredible is it that someone who had almost everything taken from him could say that? If a man in chains was able to free his mind, how can we not, even on our worst days, find the strength to keep going? That's the key, my friend. When life feels dark, Stoicism reminds us that others have walked through even colder nights and found the fire within themselves. And if they did it, you can too. Want to make this real? Start looking for models of resilience. Read biographies, watch documentaries, listen to interviews. Dive into the lives of people who walked through fire and came out stronger. But don't just treat it as entertainment, see it as training. Take Nick Vujicic, for example. Born without arms or legs, most people would have assumed he'd never live a full life. But not only did he learn to live independently, he founded Life Without Limbs and became a global speaker. His words say it all. If you can't get a miracle, become one. That way of seeing life isn't resignation. It's pure strength. It's taking what you have and turning it into something so powerful it lifts others up. Or, take Helen Keller. Deaf and blind since early childhood, she was trapped in a world of silence and darkness. But with patience, discipline, and the right support, she learned to read, to write, to speak. And not just that, she became one of the most influential voices of the 20th century, advocating for the rights of people with disabilities. Her entire life is proof that outside limits don't have to define your destiny. These aren't just stories to admire from afar. They're a practical manual for you. Because when you're feeling low, when it seems like you've got nothing left to give, remembering these lives gives you something essential. The certainty that you do have strength inside. You just need to call on it. Then take what you've learned and put it into your own habits. If Helen Keller moved forward with daily discipline, why not create your own ritual to remind yourself that you're stronger than you think? It could be writing 3 lines every morning about your goals. It could be training your body even when you don't feel like it. It could be something as simple as getting up when your mind begs you to stay in bed. Each gesture becomes a reminder that you too can endure. And here's something else. Don't forget your own story. Don't underestimate the battles you've already won. Haven't you overcome things that once felt impossible? Write down 3 moments when you pulled through against the odds. Keep that list close. Because on your darkest days, reading it will be like switching on a flashlight in the middle of a storm. It'll remind you, you've been strong before and you can be strong again. The beautiful thing is, you're not alone. Resilience isn't some special gift for a chosen few. It's in you. It's in me. It's in all of us. Sometimes we just need someone to remind us of the path, and the people who came before us, they left clear footprints for us to follow. So hold on to this thought. If today you feel tired, empty, or sad, it doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're standing in the same place where giants like Epictetus, Helen Keller, and Nick Vujicic once stood. And just like them, you can rise. Because when everything seems lost, Stoicism gives you that inner strength that doesn't rely on anything outside of you. It comes from your decision not to give up. My friend, we always save the best for last, don't we? Well, this next and final point is exactly that. A truth so powerful that if you make it yours, it can shake you to the core and give you the strength you've been looking for in the middle of your darkest days. What comes next isn't just another tip. It's the closing note that can transform the way you face everything. 12. Your true power is self-control. Picture this. You come home after a long, heavy day. Your mind is tangled, your body just wants the couch. You'd promised yourself you'd work out, even if just for 20 minutes. But then that little voice shows up. It's fine, just skip today, start tomorrow. And without even realizing it, you're already in your pajamas, remote in hand. Seems like a small thing, right? But actually, it's a surrender. You've handed your power over to laziness. Now flip the script. You put on your sneakers, even if you don't feel like it, and you go do it. You finish sweaty, tired, but proud. And that pride turns into energy. The difference between these two scenarios isn't physical strength. It's self-control. The strange thing is, we often confuse freedom with doing whatever we want in the moment. But is it really freedom to be pulled around by every impulse? If you always follow whatever your cravings demand, you end up drained, unmotivated, and sad because you never follow through on your own promises. It's a vicious cycle. That's where the Stoics were so clear. True freedom is mastering yourself. Epictetus knew this well. Imagine the scene. Thieves break into his home. They search everything, and the only thing they find is a clay lamp. They take it. The next day, most people would be swearing, angry at the world, not Epictetus. He simply said they had taken a cheap object, but what really mattered was untouched. His calm, his self-control. That's the amazing part. People could take things from him, but never his inner peace. That was his real wealth. That's what made him untouchable. Let's not forget, this man was born a slave, without the right to make any decisions about his life. And yet, in his Enchiridion, he wrote, "No one is free who is not master of himself." Think about that. They could chain him physically, but his mind was free. His power was in his self-control. And if someone who couldn't choose where to sleep or what to eat managed to build that kind of inner strength, what's our excuse when we live with so many choices every single day? Modern science backs this up. Psychologist Roy Baumeister, author of Willpower, found that willpower works like a muscle. The more you train it in the small things, the stronger it gets for the big ones. It's not about resisting massive temptations out of nowhere. It's about practicing in the little daily moments. Just like you don't bench 200 pounds on your first gym day, self-control builds gradually. Think about those tiny battles you fight every day. The buzz of a notification while you're trying to focus. The snack calling to you from the fridge when you're bored. The urge to put off that email you know you need to write. Each one of those is a mini training ground. And every time you choose to resist, you're not just winning that moment, you're strengthening your ability for future challenges. A simple strategy? Start small. For example, promise yourself not to check social media in the first hour of the day. Seems like nothing, but it trains your brain to stop reacting automatically. Another idea: when a strong temptation hits, delay it 10 minutes. That pause transforms impulse into choice. Or make a daily commitment to one tiny promise. Drink 2 glasses of water when you wake up. Walk 10 minutes. Write 3 lines in a notebook. These aren't just habits. They're daily reminders that you're in charge. My friend, self-control isn't a prison that locks you into rigid rules. It's the opposite. It's the key to your freedom. Because every time you choose to lead yourself, you're choosing the life you want. If this video is called Tired and Sad, it's because we all go through days when nothing makes sense. But when you apply self-control, when you choose instead of reacting, you realize that the strength was always there. You just had to reach in and use it. And believe me, that kind of power, no one can take it from you. Regaining your inner strength on gray days, that's what makes the difference. It doesn't matter if today you feel drained or shut down, because every moment is a chance to rise, to remember that your calm and your discipline are stronger than any adversity. Transformation doesn't come all at once. It shows up in every calm response, in every small act of self-control, and every time you choose not to give up. That's the real victory, getting back up even when everything feels heavy. If you've made it this far, drop this in the comments. Today, I reclaim my inner strength. That way, I'll know who the true Stoic warriors are, the ones who made it all the way to the end. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button so you don't miss what's coming next. Also, check the description box. We've left some resources there to help you dive deeper into Stoic teachings. Our goal is to bring you as much value as possible. And if at any point you feel like supporting us so we can keep creating this kind of content, you'll find how to do that in the pinned comment. Now, I invite you to explore the playlist on screen. It's designed to help you face life with greater wisdom and confidence. Click it, and let's keep growing together. Until the next talk, take care and keep embracing your inner Stoic.